My name is John Tubiolo, and I'd like to welcome you to this video seminar about overcoming depression. Far too many people in this world take pills to overcome a simple depressive state. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that need to be medicated. For a serious chemical imbalance in the brain, medication does seem to be the answer. However, medication prescribed by a medical doctor needs to be in conjunction with therapy from a psychiatric specialist. So when we take the medication in conjunction with the therapy, we're getting to the root of the problem. If we simply take the medication prescribed by a medical professional, we're not solving the problem. All we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on the real problem, the real condition for the depression. Now, I believe that most people are depressed and get depressed for one simple fact, and that is their life doesn't mirror their ideology of what they believe their life should have been at a certain age or a certain point in their life, a certain time in their life. And what that simply means is, if you thought by the time you were 40 you should have had X number of dollars in the bank, you should have had so many kids, you should be living in the big house, you should have had the fancy cars, you should have had all that stuff, and by the time you hit 40 that doesn't happen, most people become depressed because they can't figure out what they did wrong or where they went wrong in their lives. And for that reason, they get into this emotional turmoil, this emotional hell, and they dwell on the fact that they didn't achieve certain things or didn't have certain things, that they set these limitations in their lives and they didn't achieve it by that time. So what can we do to get over that? Well, I believe there's a few basic steps that we can do to overcome depression. And the first thing we have to do is we have to change our physiology. We have to change our physical state. That's your body language. How you hold your head, how you hold your body, where you put your arms. How many times we walk down the street or we've seen somebody somewhere and their head is down, their arms are crossed, their hands are in their pockets, they're slumped over, they're depressed. Now, we don't need to ask them how they're doing. We know how they're doing. If you're depressed, you look like you're depressed. Nobody has to come up and pull it out of you so that you can tell them that you're depressed. They know in an instant that you're depressed simply because of your body language, simply because of your behavior. And that's the physical state. And that's the first thing we have to change. So we have to assume a posture that is more commanding, more confident. And that's the posture of success. That's the posture of someone who is confident and someone who is positive. Okay? So the first thing we have to change, our physical being, our physical state, our physiology, exterior. The second thing we have to do is we have to focus, we have to change our mental focus. Okay? So we have to focus on the positive. That's changing our mental focus. Far too often what happens is people start to dwell on the negative. They look at the negative, they think about all the negativity in their lives, and that's where they stay. They focus in on the negative so much that that's all they can see is the negative. So they have to change your mental focus. You change your mental focus, you start focusing on all the positive things. Now, is it simply enough to change your mental focus and start focusing on positive things and all of a sudden good things will happen? No. Because something linked with focus is language of thought. And up to this point, everything we've talked about, body language, physical state, mental focus, language of thought, comes back to do one thing, and that's to change your emotional state. Now, what is language of thought? Some of you are probably asking, what is language of thought? Language of thought is simple. When we are in a depressive state, we're focused on the negative, our language of thought is very simple. Our language of thought is, I deserve this, bad things always happen to me, why are things happening to me? Why won't God help me? All those negativity, all those negative things that we focus on, that becomes our language of thought. And what we do in a sense is we reinforce how we feel, how depressed we are, and the state that we're in, the depressed state we're in, we're able to reinforce that depressive state through the language of thought. People who are happy don't have a negative language of thought. They have a very positive language of thought. So if we change our language of thought, we change our emotional state. If we change our mental focus, we change our emotional state. If we change our physiology, our physical state, we change our emotional state. And it happens like that. It happens in an absolute instant. When we decide to make a decision to change our lives, it happens. And we change our lives, and we focus on the positive. Now, is that simply enough? I wish it were. But it's not. There are a few more other steps that we need to take. Through language of thought, we change one of the most critical and one of the most important aspects of getting over depression and getting out of depression. And that is, we change our belief system. See, I believe that everything that happens to us in this world, everything that we accomplish or things that we don't accomplish,